I suddenly just had a thought of, it is Wednesday, right? I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. um, so, yes, hi. As you might notice, I have added twinkly lights behind me. They are not Christmas lights, mind you. They are twinkly lights because these dark nights and days, for that matter, whew, they're killer. So I have put up twinkly lights in various places around the house to try and brighten things up. And as you can tell, I also have like the most neon green jumper, and it's enormous and cozy and warm. And I am just snuggled into these wintry vibes now. It's here. I'm here for it. um, so actually, that's sort of one thing that I wanted to chat about in my general chit chat section first. Is how things have kind of been changing lately and how I've noticed things changing. And in terms of kind of two things, so my co-parenting and then the seasonal change. And I guess that probably doesn't make sense. What I mean is I've been reflecting this week on how things have been changing or how things have changed. And there have been several. And I've been reflecting because I've had 5 days without the girls. Once every 4 weeks. So we have like a 4 weekly rotation in our schedule. And once every 4 weeks, I go for 5 nights without them. And it gives me lots of reflection time. There's also, I should just point out that also once every 4 weeks, I get them for 5 nights at a time. So we are 50-50. It's just, yeah, the way it pans out. But I guess, so the first thing, so I've been co-parenting now, so it's coming up on 3 years that my ex-husband and I split up, and we have gone through many, many phases in that time. We've had lots of different schedules, lots of different relations between us, like in terms of how we interact with each other. It's been a journey for sure. And even though we're like 3 years out now, almost, it still changes and evolves. And that's really what I've been reflecting on. Partially as I've been pulling together this divorcee program, but also partially because it's coming up on the 3 years, and that always makes me think about it. But it's just been really interesting to look back and see kind of how things have changed over that time. And like I said, it's still continuing to evolve and change. And one thing that I thought was really cool that I could notice was the way that we interact now and the way that we recover when we hit bumps in the road, because we do still hit bumps in the road. They are far, far fewer than they used to be, but they still happen because we're humans. We are flawed humans, and we, have an inherently linked and intimate relationship because we have kids together. So there's always going to be stuff that comes up, now and then. But it used to be that when we would hit bumps in the road, when things would trigger us or when things would flare up, it was long and drawn out and full of emotions on both sides and just ugly and awful. And so I've certainly had my share of that kind of interaction with my co-parent. And now, so a couple weeks ago, we had a bump. And it was a couple days, 2 or 3 days maybe. It was very, very mild compared to what it used to be. And the biggest thing for me was how I dealt. So that was between us both. It was much more mild and shorter. But how I dealt with it is very different too, which is probably a big part of why the whole thing is different. In that it used to really, really get to me. I used to really, because this happens on text. That's why I'm holding up this is my phone, by the way. Everything happens on text. But so we'd be fighting, and we would both be fighting, going back and forth, because I would feel like I needed to respond to everything he said, or defend myself, or make my point, or have the last word. And now a huge part that's changed in me is I can go, oh, he's mad. He's saying something. Okay, I'll come back to that when it's calmed down. I no longer feel the need to defend myself, to make my point, to do all those things. I can now, I've really had a lot of practice and I've gotten to the place where I can go, this isn't about me. This is about this is his emotions and what's going on. And I don't need to, I don't need to be a part of this. I can resume the conversation if it needs resuming when everybody's calmed down. And a lot of the time, it doesn't even need to be resolved. Like the conversation doesn't need resuming. That's another big thing is I've lost the need to resolve everything. Not everything between me and my co-parent needs a nice, tidy resolution. It doesn't all need to like finish somehow. I am now so much more comfortable with that can just drift away. That can just go away. If it doesn't need resolving, then it doesn't need it. I'm totally happy with just, there you go. Right, one sec. I just need to grab a tissue. Okay, that horrendous cold I had last week is mostly gone, but not quite entirely, so sorry about that. So that's made a huge difference in our co-parenting relationship, is my ability to just let things go and I don't need to be right all the time. I don't need to be right most of the time. In fact, it doesn't need to, whereas previously I would need to be right. I would need to prove the point. I would need to get to a resolution. And now I'm quite happy to go, okay, okay, if that's what you think, if that's what you feel. And it's so liberating. So that's one big thing that I've noticed in my reflection that's changed. The other thing that I've noticed as I've been reflecting these past few days is this last week has felt really hard. These dark nights, when I say they're killer, oh my goodness. It's been it goes dark at 4, and by 5 o'clock, I'm done for the night. I don't want to do anything else productive. I want to just put on my pajamas and turn off the lights and watch Netflix and just do nothing. But also, then I get really bored of that. So I brought the girls to school on Friday morning. I went out with some girlfriends on Friday night. But then I had no plans on Saturday. And Saturday night I was just sitting there going, I'm sick of my couch. And then Sunday I went out briefly during the day. By Sunday night I was I'm sick of my couch. So I don't want to do anything because of the dark nights, but also it's really boring just sitting on my couch by myself, especially when the nights seem so long. And whereas in the summer, I used to go out to the park and I'd read my book and, I'd wander back at 10 o'clock at night when the sun started to go down. Now, like I said, it's pitch black by 4:30 and it's totally different. And I was wondering why it was feeling so hard for me. And then it occurred to me that's because this is the first winter that we are on our 50-50 schedule. So we only switched to 50-50 in April of this year. So last winter and the winter before, I had the girls every night. Like I said, we've gone through many phases of what our schedulings looked like, but in all of them, up until April of this year, in every other iteration, I had the girls at night. They didn't sleep at their dad's house. They always came back to my house that night, no matter where they were during the day. So I had them a lot more often during the day, but I also had them every single night. So it didn't occur to me until then that this is my first winter without the girls here at night. So no wonder the nights feel so long and dark and lonely, to be honest, because I've never had it before. So it occurred to me that I'm going to need to make some changes, and I don't know what those are yet. So I'm telling you this in real time. I don't know what my answers are going to be. I just know that I'm going to need to make some changes because I can't get through a whole winter of feeling like 5 o'clock comes and I'm just wiped out, but then bored. And it's not every night because it is 50-50. So like I said, this is a 5-day streak. The girls come home today. Wednesdays are my absolute favorite day because I get to do this. I've got my coaching call and then the girls come home on Wednesdays. So, it's not every day, but I do know that That's half of the winter that I'm going to be on my own at night, and I am going to need to make some changes to keep myself energized and okay with things. And that's not to say, by the way, that I'm going to go out every night and be like, go, go, go. I really, really adore time on my own, quiet time at home with nobody else around. Like, I do really, really love that. But that said, I've just noticed that it's been a tough couple days for that, a tough 5 days, and I'm going to need to make some changes. So it's really cool to kind of notice that, oh yes, this is the first time this has happened. I haven't been here before. Let's be gentle on myself. Let's figure out, what do I want it to look like now? It's a really great opportunity to figure out, how do I want it to look and feel instead? If I know I don't want to feel bored out of my mind every night at 5 o'clock, how do I want it to feel? What do I want my time to look like? And it's a cool opportunity to be able to play with that. So that's what I've been noticing changing lately. Oh, sorry for the tissue. Okay, then I'm going to go straight on to the awesome question that I had this week after I have a drink. By the way, guys, this was totally not intentional, but can we just take a moment to appreciate how perfectly matched my mug is with my jumper? I wish I could say I did it on purpose, but I'm just naturally this coordinated. Also, let's just take a moment to appreciate my mug. That says, "Tropic Like It's Hot," and it's by Emily Brooks, who is one of my favorite artists. Emily Brooks UK. She's great. Go follow her. Okay, so to that awesome question that I got asked. So the question is, how do you prioritize marriage, relationship, sex when you've got a busy life full of kids and work and life? And this is such a great question because it's something that so many of us struggle with. And if not attended to, it can lead to longer term problems. So I've got a multi-part answer here, which won't surprise you. So which one do I start with? I think the first part I want to start with, I guess, is talking about receiving and letting feel good, pleasure, your senses, getting back in touch with your senses on a daily basis. So we often, as women, I mean, men too, but as women in particular, we can often get super caught up in the doing. So we operate a lot of the time from our what's called masculine energy, which is the like get shit done mode. Especially if we have kids and a job, and we often take on a lot of the mental load around the house, and we get caught up in this doing, the need to constantly be on top of the schedules and the snacks and the meals and the housework, and we juggle a lot, and it's awesome and we're amazing. But by doing that, we get and like I said, that's kind of the masculine energy, and we get so caught up in all that stuff that we end up shutting off from our feminine energy, from the getting in tune with ourselves, with our bodies, with our senses. We shut all of that off almost in order to keep functioning over here and to keep going. But so then, if we're shutting off from our bodies, if we're not noticing the sensations in life, if we're not receiving, and receiving meaning physically, like feeling touch and feeling, letting your senses in, but also receiving energy, receiving love, receiving help, all of that stuff. If we shut off from all of that, it can be quite difficult to then switch it back on like that, which is what is a big factor in a sexual relationship or an intimate relationship, is being able to receive. So we're asking our bodies and our brains to go, if we're running around at this getting shit done level all the time and we're tuned off from everything else, we're asking our bodies to go from a sensual level of 0 to 60 like that. You're like, that's a big ask, a big jump. Whereas if you can get into the habit of, while you're still getting shit done, because I'm not going to tell you to well, just don't work or don't do this stuff. Like, obviously life happens. But if you can make it a practice to start getting in tune with your senses, getting in tune with your body, and practicing receiving on a daily basis as you're going about all of that stuff, then you're not necessarily starting from zero anymore. You're starting from a higher level. And what I mean by that is making it a practice to feel this soft, cozy jumper when you put it on, to actually feel it on your skin, to have bed sheets that you get into and you can feel how soft the bed sheets are, and to notice that, to feel well, not today, but to feel the sunshine on your face. Even, I know it's winter, but to notice the feeling of the sunshine on your face and the warmth of that. Or even to feel the rain droplets on your face, to just stop and notice what it feels like to have those rain droplets hitting you on the face. Or notice the smell of, that fresh cup of coffee. Just take a moment to really smell that. Or mine's lemon and honey in this case. Smell that lemon. So do you see what I mean about getting in tune with your senses? And as you start to practice noticing all these things in your senses and feeling things in your body more, your body gets more used to that base level. So instead of starting from here where your body's shut off altogether, now you're operating from here on a daily basis. This is where your body's attunement level is. So now when it comes time to sex, instead of going, which is up here, instead of going here to here, you've got a much smaller gap to turn your body on the rest of the way. So that's thing number one, is make a daily practice of getting in tune with your body, noticing and letting things in. Thing number two on how to prioritize marriage, sex, relationships when you've got this crazy busy life is prioritize it. Is exactly what you said in the question, is to prioritize it. So we often, again, all of us women, not all, a lot of us women get so caught up in all the daily doings that we can lose track of what our actual priorities are. Or when you look at how you spend your time doesn't align with what your actual priorities are. And it's really easy for that to happen. But the key is to try and make a switch. And even if we're talking small amounts of switches, even if we're talking 5% of your time or even 2% of your time, making switches to spend more time on what you prioritize in your life as your values will make a huge difference. So I say, and this one is two-pronged. This is prioritizing time with yourself and prioritizing time with your significant other, and deprioritizing some of the other stuff that just doesn't matter as much. Now, that can mean, so when I say prioritizing you and then prioritizing your spouse, take time for you to fill up your own cup, to do what lights you up and makes you happy, to get the rest that you need, to get the time away from the kids that you need, to get the time away from the housework that you need. Take that time for you and fill up your cup first. And then as you are operating more from a place of overflow and abundance, that will spill out into your relationship with your significant other. Now, that doesn't mean as well that you should just only pour into you at the beginning and ignore your significant other altogether, because obviously you would like to spend time with them too. But it's kind of setting aside separate time to prioritize those two relationships. And that might mean some practical changes. That might mean maybe maybe you let the dishes, you don't do the dishes every night. You do them every other night or every 2 nights or every 3 nights or whatever it may be. Maybe you get a cleaner. I would highly recommend a cleaner if that is feasible for you. I haven't had one for a while now because mine quit and it's so sad. I miss her. My house is just dirtier. But so maybe you can get a cleaner to help with some of the housework. Maybe you can ask for a bit of extra help from a friend, a neighbor, your parents, your in-laws, whoever it is. I should have started with having a conversation with your husband if you need to, with your significant other, of if it feels like you need your significant others to help out more, to even the workload. Start there. Explain how you really want to put more time and energy into your relationship, but to do that, you need a bit more help around with some of the house stuff. And I do recommend, by the way, with that, that it comes from I want to prioritize us. I want to use this time this way, and therefore I need more help, as opposed to framing it like, you never do anything around here. You need to pull your weight. It's the conversation will go differently if you approach it differently. So there's the practical stuff to make a little bit more time and to know that it's okay to put down some of the stuff that doesn't need doing. Prioritize time for yourself so that you can start to fill up your cup and operate from a place of abundance and overflow. And then prioritize the time with your significant other as well. And that can mean date nights, getting a babysitter and doing date nights out. That could mean date nights in. It doesn't have to go out. If getting a babysitter is tricky, it can be date nights in. It can be like even littler stuff than that. It can be, just grabbing, going up and putting your arms around each other when one of you's washing dishes. It can be, patting each other on the bum as you walk by the kitchen. It can be sitting on the same couch at night instead of one of you on, one couch and one on the other chair, or getting close to each other. Again, it's so many of us in relationships fall into the trap of just kind of like gliding by like ships in the night and not really connecting anymore. So it's prioritizing making those times for connections. And I will say, because I know that this is a trap that I certainly fell into, and I know so many other people do, is that the physical connection only happens when somebody wants sex. So then as soon as that physical connection is made, it's like, oh, they want sex. And like, it can be easy to be like, nope, I'm busy. I don't have time for that. Why would they do that? And you shut down the physical connection altogether. And so this is a big part of, again, and because our bodies are starting at like zero touch, zero sensual, getting in touch, they're like, no. So like I said, make that practice of getting your body used to that and having physical connection be part of your daily life instead of just when somebody wants sex. But then also it's making it so that, it's not just when somebody wants sex. It's just part of how you connect is that physical touch. And I know everybody's love language is different, so it won't be as much for everybody. But I do think it's quite important that you've got this way of, and maybe it's not just physical touch, but that you have ways of connecting with your partner every day that's not only when somebody wants sex. And then it might be that sometimes it is, because now you guys are both operating from a place of you are more connected in general. You are more full. Your cup is full because you've been prioritizing your own needs. You are focusing on what's important and less on the not important stuff. I should also point out as well that when I say focus, like put down the stuff that's not as important, that could very well mean less TV time. Again, I know so many of us fall into the trap of like, once the kids are asleep and the kitchen's cleaned up and all the housework is done, and we just collapse on the couch and like watch a Netflix series together or something like that. And I love a good Netflix binge as much as anybody else. I'm a big fan. However, TV is really often not a very filling activity. It's not something that often actually lights you up. It's something that we can just turn on and numb out from the day, from the week, and you just like switch off and go brain dead when you're watching it. Like I said, sometimes that's okay, but it's really often can be quite a killer. So I highly do recommend looking at if that is a practice of yours, and then if it is, how do you change that? Do you have a couple nights a week where you just don't turn the TV on at all? Do you only turn it on when there's this one show that you want to watch? Do you, whatever needs adjusting, but take a look at that, because zoning out from the TV almost certainly will not be filling up either of your cups and making you feel good. So that was a lot of stuff. Did I cover everything I wanted to cover? Okay. I think I covered everything I want to cover. So it was, just to recap, it was make a daily practice of getting in tune with your body and getting in tune with your senses. And just as you're going about your busy life, noticing how things feel, smell, how they taste, just getting back into your body and getting back into that like receiving of pleasure and feeling good. That was thing number one. Thing number two, prioritize yourself and your needs. So really focus on what you need to fill your own cup up to make you happy, to make sure that you are operating from a full place of overflow. Thing number 3, prioritize your relationship. So having date nights in or out, having connection be a part of your daily lives, really focusing on connecting with your partner on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And if that means putting aside some other stuff that isn't need doing, whether it's, doing less of the housework, doing it on a different schedule, watching less TV, then so be it. But really focus on making you a priority, your relationship a priority, and you will see huge, huge payouts from that. So if any of that is something that you want to talk about more, then let me know. So I keep teasing you about the Divorcee program, which will be coming soon. Turns out like making the websites and stuff just takes a lot longer than I thought. And I haven't been able to record the modules yet because my nose is still running and I want to be able to get through a module without having to wipe my nose. So as soon as my nose stops running and I stop coughing, although I haven't coughed during this yet. So I'm getting better. So I'm on the up. As soon as my nose stops running, then I will record these modules and get them out there for you. So the Divorcee program is coming very, very soon, and I am so excited about it to share it with you. But also, you still have the option of my one-on-one coaching as well. So it's not just, I'm not just only going the divorce route. I am still here for all y'all. So you can do the 3 months of coaching where you get 3 calls a month and Voxer, which is voice noting and texting in between. And that is for $667 a month. So that is still an option as well. If you've got if you want to continue this conversation in the comments, let me know. If you want to send me a message and talk about it, let me know. And we can figure out kind of what is best for you in terms of coaching support. And please, please, as always, share this with people who you think will want to hear about it, or even people you don't think will want to hear about it because you don't know, especially like with the Divorcee program. I really am keen on having people share this as much as they can because sometimes you know which of your friends are struggling with this and sometimes you don't. If they're not at the okay, we've decided to divorce now stage, if they're in the stage before that, like the doubting and the deciding, then you might not know about it. Even if it's a close friend, but if it's somebody further away, often we don't talk about it at that stage. So you don't know who in your life might need these resources. So that's why I'm so keen on sharing this round because I think it's going to be needed by a heck of a lot more people than we even know about. So share my profile, like just share on your stories, do whatever you can to share, and I would be so grateful and appreciative, and so will the people who need this and find it through that. So you'll have gratefulness coming at you from all angles. Okay, that's it. I'll stop talking now. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you back here next Wednesday. Mwah! Bye.